I will be speaking to you during the next 20-25 minutes about this particular topic, which is gaining a lot of importance in the field of mental health. I know we have got very good colleagues in this country who have been trying to highlight the importance of this issue. But I thought that it will be a good reminder to all of us that how can we change our practices and how can we be more confident in terms of supporting and strengthening our links with the patients, carers, and the families. As you know, psychiatry is having a very exciting time. And as compared to the last century, there has been significant changes and improvements in our understanding of mental health. It's very interesting that the second half of last century and equally the 2 decades of this present century have had a very important shift in understanding of the mental health. It is not only the disorder or the illness or the disease which is important, but we are having equal recognition to the patient and to the society. And then these changes are bringing a lot of innovations in our practices, and there are different social and behavioral consequences of these changes. I think one of the important change which we are witnessing in the practice of psychiatry, that the concept of dealing by uniprofessional is now changing to multi-professional supervision and approaches. And this is a big change, that it is not only one person who is responsible for taking care of our patients, but it is a group of professionals who are contributing in a very, very important way. If we look at what are our general partners when we talk about mental health, of course, psychiatrists, psychologists, social workers, nurses, occupational therapists. So the list is getting quite long, who have important roles in the field of mental health. But in addition to that list, the entry and the contribution of patients, users, and families is gaining equal importance, because we believe that although professionals are very important, but the person who is sitting on the other side of the table is an important stakeholder in the equation of mental health, managing mental health problems, and dealing with the issues that our patients and families encounter in their journeys through the mental health services. There is a lot of evidence that if we involve patients and carers and families, it is a win-win situation. Number of important areas have been highlighted by the recent research that if we work with carers, patients, and families, it is of clinical importance. There are a number of treatment implications, and there is a lot of evidence that the outcome and the impact on the care is also very relevant and appropriate. And equally, in psychiatry, while we are always talking about compliance, difficulties and adherence, if there is a good bonding between us and our patients and their families, it certainly increases the compliance and, last but not the least, the confidence of our patients and families become more and more in our services. There are a number of evidences in literature. Just to start with, World Health Organization has very categorically stated in their reports that experience demonstrating that the development of consumer and family groups and their active involvement lead to improvements in the quality of service and the care provided to persons with mental disorders. And this is supplemented by a number of key papers, reviews, guidelines, and directions that support that how important this relationship is and how can we improve our services based on this particular relationship. And then the take-home message in most of these publications is that this is actually a way how to learn to cope together. And there are different aspects of this relationship that could speak about improving compliance, improving outcome, improving relapse prevention, and management of the cases in a more effective way. But equally, although the literature is suggesting that this is a brilliant idea, there are a number of barriers. For example, there could be unrealistic expectations and demands of the patients and carers. Similarly, there are some cultural issues and ground realities and setting of the priorities in mental health. In many cultures, especially our work in some low-income countries have revealed that the therapist, and mostly this is a psychiatrist, that is considered as the final voice in the treatment. So all these are barriers in terms of involving patients and carers. And then there are some ethical considerations. How far we can go in terms of disclosing what patient has told to us, to the family or to the carers. What about treatment choices? Choice by the patient, choice by the family, and how far patients' families can cope with the shared decision done by the patient and the professionals. And confidentiality is a sort of another barrier. In most of the developed countries, we know that the legal aspects and the confidentiality issues are posing a big threat to many of our practices. And this becomes even more evident when, on one hand, we are trying to implement a better understanding strategy, and at the same time, we sometimes feel limited that how can we go on without breaking any confidentiality. World Psychiatric Association did a survey a few years ago. We approached many of our membership just asking that what do they think, what are the barriers that could stop you working with carers and families. The list which I have just mentioned to you about ethical considerations, confidentialities, expectations, that was mentioned in their replies. But interestingly, these two items came up as very, very important. And I think this is what we need to really learn about this. And these items were that there was limited awareness and acceptance and acknowledgement from the professionals about the involvement of patients and families. And then the second factor that emerged, that unfortunately we, the professionals, do not have the competencies to deal with these issues. So I think this is a very important take-home message, that while we are supporting the cause of involvement of patients, carers, and families, we really need to look at what are our limitations and what are our barriers that could stop us dealing with these issues. And in addition to that, patient is very important and central to us. But we also know, and this is based on subjective experience and knowledge of many of us, that families and carers also suffer. When mental illness first strikes, family members deny, and they may be using that denial, which in fact lead to delays in accepting and accessing the mental health services. And then, during the acute episodes, family members become highly alarmed and anxious that why is it happening to their loved one? And when the episode is over and the family member comes back from the hospital or from the clinic, everyone feels a sense of relief and they just want to put these painful time away from their mind. But at the same time, when the patient is doing well, they simply forget the misery and the difficulties they have experienced. There was a very interesting study completed in Sri Lanka by an NGO, Basic Needs. And they just looked at that what are the common problems that are faced by the carers. Of course, stigma, discrimination, and exclusion was at the top. But economic burdens, mental illness related problems, impact on relationships, lack of appropriate services, lack of understanding, and difficulties in getting access and approach to the pathways. So this is again, although it may look that we as professionals may not be involved in dealing with many of these problems, but if we look at it becomes equally important because these are the determinants that could have an effect on the outcome of what we are trying to do and offer to our patients. I will now very briefly give you some idea that what is the ground reality at this moment and what is happening in the international scene. I know there are many member societies, including Italian Psychiatric Society, many components of WPA like WPA scientific sections, individual people, NGOs, foundations, and groups are working, but because of the limited time, I will just stick to 3 or 4 examples that what is being done on the international scene. To start with World Psychiatric Association. Few years ago, a standing committee and a task force was constituted in the WPA to look very specifically that what should be the guidelines for developing partnership for better mental health on the best practices in working with patients, service users, and family care. These recommendations were published in World Psychiatry, which is open access, but more importantly, these recommendations were approved in the General Assembly as directions to our member societies so that we should develop and we could develop local self-help groups and local activities. EPA, I'm glad that President of EPA is with us today. And EPA is also taking it very seriously, and this seriousness is reflected in this year's meeting. EPA organized a forum, and that was chaired by the President of EPA, not anyone else. So that shows how European Psychiatric Association is taking this particular aspect seriously, and we are grateful to the President and her council and her committee that they are taking an active part in this particular aspect. And we hope that EPA's next meetings will continue with this topic of Forum on Person-Centered Mental Health Care, outcomes that matter to patients and their carers. Just to give you an example from Royal College of Psychiatrists, the UK College is committed to bring patients and carers on all its committees, whether this is a faculty, whether this is a sort of a general committee, college council, academic and education committee. We have got a representation from patients and carers group on all committees of the Royal College of Psychiatrists. And they are advised to contribute to the planning of policies of the college, but more importantly, to the training. And you will be pleased that in UK, all our training programs for postgraduate psychiatry, there is a mandatory provision that the trainees are exposed to lectures, seminars given by patients and the carers and their families. And the Royal College is actively pursuing to do a number of campaigns, public campaigns, to highlight the importance and the contribution of this particular aspect of care and provision. Just to sort of give you another example that how college looked at this, they invited Professor Helen Herman, our current president, and myself to contribute to a special article which was published in our BJ Psych International on this particular topic. Then there is a Princess Royal Trust, and that is exclusively devoted for carers in mental health and advocating the triangle of care. This Princess Trust collaborated with the Royal College of Psychiatrists for a very effective campaign and programs that resulted into very good outcomes in terms of the policies and the development of services in different parts of the country. World Fellowship for Schizophrenia, again, although specifically working in the field of schizophrenia, they have got a strong element of working with families. I think this is very important that these professional organizations, while they are devoting their energies on scientific programs, on scientific evidence, they are actively involved in the service provisions. World Association for Psychosocial Rehabilitation has got an equal importance given to the patients and the carers. And this is amongst one of the very few international organizations where the patients are represented on their board. I just want to share one study that we conducted in Pakistan, very low income countries, for a population of 200 million, only 300 psychiatrists, less than 200 psychologists. So there is a sort of an important aspect that how can we increase our workforce. So we looked at, this is a place from where we got the data. This is about a rehabilitation center which has got 400 inpatient for males, 100 for females, and the outpatient clinic is attended by almost 150 patients every day. So we took a study and examined the extent of anxiety and depression, family burden, and quality of life in primary caregivers of patients with mental illnesses. And the results were very, very interesting because we found that majority of primary caregivers were having difficulties with their own mental health. High proportion of caregivers scored above the cutoff of Hamilton Anxiety Depression Scale for anxiety and depression. They have got impaired quality of life and they were struggling with the burdens. So what we did, that based on these findings, we developed a psychoeducational program. So this was for patients and the carers. And over the last 2 years, we have covered a number of topics in a very, very simple format, lectures given by mental health professionals, doctors, nurses, psychologists, social workers, and the target audience was our patients, their families, and their relatives. So, just to sum up, this triangle of care, patients, families, and professionals, this is the future practice of psychiatry. And we have to work in a way that this partnership is sustained. And we need to explore that what are the needs of each group, but more importantly, what are the expectations of each group, so that we can have a compromise in understanding and keeping a balance between needs and expectations. The future is not that bleak. There is a lot many things we can do to achieve this. The first way forward is that let's try to convince ourselves, the professionals, that patients and families are important stakeholders. Once we are convinced, then we will be able to help them and bring them on board. I always give an example, and this is only in psychiatry, that you go for a World Congress or a big meeting, there are thousands of people raising slogans against psychiatry outside the building. This never happens in cardiology. This never happens in any other branch of medicine. Why it is happening? Because there is a gap between us and our clients. And to achieve this, we need to raise recognition and awareness among professionals. We need to start considering the involvement of all stakeholders, and very importantly, developing guidelines and setting examples of good practice, especially for our future trainees. And I always request and suggest the member societies of WPA that they should develop a group, a committee within their structure to look at this particular aspect of psychiatric health care. And the future strategies should be based on awareness, making practical points, how can we involve our patients and carers, and formulation of guidelines and recommendation based on all aspects of care, including confidentiality, ethical issues, and overcoming the barriers. Last but not the least, just consider the word illness. It starts with I. You change this I to we. This becomes wellness. I think this is an important slogan, that let's change this I to we. Let's make other stakeholders as important stakeholders for our future work. Thank you very much.